Welcome back to my channel. You already know it's your boy Hood Diggity, the Rock Reactor, back with another video. Yes, sir. Before I proceed, let me know where you tapping in from. Let me know what country, what city, what mountain, what hill, what cave, what island, what planet, what universe. Let me know where you at. Represent your hood. Yes, sir. We got the news. Wow, guys. This hurts me because it scares me, let's just say. It scares me because my Cuban people, guys, Cuba is in the same region. Cubans are our neighbors. I grew up with Cubans. I even had a step-pops that was Cuban when I was little. My mom was actually had a I'm gonna say a marriage with a Cuban for a couple of years, but I worked with a lot of Cubans. I grew up around Cubans, let's just say, and I love Cubans. I think Cubans are wonderful people. They're similar to us in a way, but anyway, and it's in the same region. But what I just heard is scary because it don't look like it's going well for Cuba. Cuban embassy in the U.S., 4 dead and 6 injured at the Florida registered boat detected in Cuban waters. So supposedly they killed 4 Americans in a boat. The Cuban Navy. So this is not looking well, guys. Let's take a look. Excuse me. And before we do, if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to my channel, hit the notification bell, hit the like button. Any donations to my channel will be greatly appreciated. My PayPal account is on the screen. Let's take a look, guys.
4 people are dead and 6 others are hurt after an encounter in the waters off of Cuba.
The Cuban embassy in the United States saying that a speedboat registered here in Florida was in the country's waters and the crew on the boat opened fire on Cuban forces. Local 10's Ross Ketchke is live in Washington, D.C. with all of the late-breaking details. Ross, what have you learned?
Well, supposedly, yeah, the boat opened fire on the naval forces.
Well, good afternoon, guys. Just to recap what you've already mentioned, according to the Cuban embassy here in the United States, 4 people killed, 6 others wounded, shot by Cuban forces on a speedboat registered in the state of Florida that the Cuban government is claiming was in Cuban waters. Now, breaking details still coming into our newsroom in South Florida, as well as our bureau here in Washington. But here's a breakdown of everything we are learning so far. This information is coming from Cuba's Interior Ministry. They claim that speedboat was allegedly spotted in Cuban waters this morning. The boat is registered in the state of Florida, and the Cubans are claiming that when their border guards approach.
Now, based on what they said, it's in the Cuban waters, and when they approached them, they opened fire on the Cuban authorities. If that's the case, guys, you know that they're in their right because they're in their territory and you opening fire. So what are they going to do? Now, it all depends on how Trump and his administration sees it or how they perceive it.
That vessel, the crew on that U.S. registered boat opened fire, injuring a Cuban commander. And that's when the Cubans then returned fire again, killing 4 individuals, wounding 6 others. Those who were injured were reportedly evacuated from the area for medical treatment. Now, this happened 1 mile northeast of the El Pino Canal in Cayo Falcones in the Villa Clara province. That's on the north side of Cuba. And Secretary of State Marco Rubio is actually out in the Caribbean right now, out of the United States.
See, they were way inside. They were way inside Cuban waters.
We have reached out to sources inside the State Department to begin getting a sense of exactly how the U.S. is responding to all of this. Multiple South Florida lawmakers do tell me they are closely monitoring the situation. Congress is in session this week, so those lawmakers are here in Washington tracking that situation. Some of the earliest reaction we have seen coming in thus far into our newsroom and into our bureau here in Washington is from South Florida Congressman Carlos Jimenez, the Republican, writing, Quote, I am calling for an immediate investigation into this massacre. United States authorities must determine whether any of the victims were U.S. citizens or legal residents and establish exactly what occurred. The regime in Cuba must be relegated to the dustbin of history for its countless crimes against humanity. Also, in just the last few minutes, we've seen reaction coming in online from Florida Republican Senator Rick Scott, who is joining Congressman Jimenez in a call for an investigation into exactly what happened here. Also, as of yet, still no reaction coming in from the White House. But in the last few weeks, President Trump has been putting increased pressure on the Cuban regime, making moves to continue to cut off an oil supply to the island nation, especially in the wake of the removal of Nicolas Maduro from Venezuela back in January. So breaking details still coming in. We are continuing to gather that information for you, especially coming from here and our leaders in Washington. We'll keep you posted throughout the afternoon. Live in Washington, Ross.
Now, this is a two-part video, guys. I forgot to say this, but I just wanted to say, guys, that an investigation needs to be made because this is what the Cuban people are reporting. Now, of course, the U.S. authorities are investigating, but assuming that this was it, I don't think that the Cuban, knowing knowing their situation, is basically going to escalate the situation by purposely killing American citizens, even if they're in their waters, because they know that would escalate into bigger problems. Something else is that, as I understand, the Cuban president isn't or wants to talk or want to be in talks or is already in talks with the American government or the Trump administration, for that matter, to see how they can resolve issues, how they can resolve their situation. I don't think that they're going to fuck all that up by or get this escalated by purposely, like I said, shooting American citizens that step into their waters, guys. So that also needs to be taken account for. I hope that Trump doesn't use this as leverage to basically get them to negotiate, which I still don't understand. I guess what they don't want is for them to negotiate or have any ties with Russia or China. I guess that's what they want. But let's look at the second video, guys. The second video is Rubio warns U.S. will respond appropriately after Cuba kills 4 people in Florida speedboat incident. Let's take a look at what Rubio said. Marco Rubio.
So this morning, we were made aware by Cuban authorities of an incident off the coast of Cuba. We immediately began to look into it. As it stands now, the Department of Homeland Security, the Coast Guard, others are involved. The majority of the information we still possess is what Cuban authorities are providing both the public and the U.S. government. We have our embassy on the ground in Havana working this as we speak, asking for access to the people that were on those vessels, if they were American citizens or permanent residents. According to the Cuban regime, that the boat was registered in Florida. We're tracking that down. We will know shortly, and we will know quickly, many more facts about this incident than we know right now. The majority of the facts being publicly reported are those by the information provided by the Cubans. We will verify that independently, and as we gather more information, then we'll be prepared to respond accordingly. I'm not going to speculate, because I'm not going to opine on what I don't yet know, but we're going to find out exactly what happened here, and then we'll respond accordingly. Okay? Any questions?
Have you been in touch with anyone in Cuba? And I mean, what's your...
Well, the authorities in Cuba, the border guard has constant contact with the Coast Guard, so they alerted them this morning. I was made aware of it at that time. Oftentimes in these incidents and things like this, the initial reports are incomplete, and then as the day has progressed, I think early this morning, certainly by 9 a.m. or 10 a.m. this time, maybe a little later our time here, I reached out and we began to look at it independently. We have various different elements of the U.S. government that are trying to verify elements of the story based on what's been provided to us now. I know that the Coast Guard has responded to the area, to the vicinity. I'll need to get more fidelity and understanding from them once I get on the airplane about what exactly they're looking for. I don't know who has possession of the vessel, which is the first thing we would want to have. We obviously want to have access to these people if they are American citizens or U.S. residents.
Have you spoken to any Cuban officials?
No, we haven't spoken directly about
Not just that. Rubio should have said, what the hell were they doing in Cuban waters? They need to investigate that.
this now. No, I'm not going to comment about any conversations we've had on this topic. Suffice it to say, what it's important to be out there and everyone needs to know is that we're going to have our own information on this, and we're going to figure out exactly what happened. And there are a number of things that could have happened here. But I'm not even going to, I was about to say, I'm not even going to speculate as to what it could have been. It's a wide range of things. But suffice it to say, it is highly unusual to see shootouts in open sea like that. It's not something that happens every day. It's something, frankly, that hasn't happened with Cuba in a very long time. But we're going to find out. We're not going to base our conclusions on what they've told us. And I'm very, very confident that we will know the full story of what happened here, and we will know it soon. And then, we'll respond appropriately based on what that information tells us.
They probably involved the CIA in this, and a lot of shit's gonna happen, but they are gonna get to the bottom of it. Americans always get to the bottom of everything, so it's definitely gonna go down. I just hope, like I said, I just hope this doesn't turn out to be something that's gonna hurt Cuba even more, something that's gonna escalate their situation, make it worse. I just hope not, guys, because I feel bad for Cuba, guys. Sometimes I tell my wife, and I tell a lot of people, my friends and everything, that we should be glad that we're not in Cuba's situation, because Cuba's already bad as it is. Imagine now with a fuel shortage. It's crazy. And then now look what's happening now. I just hope that it turns out for the better. I just hope that this gets cleared up, and I just hope that they investigate this to the fullest and not just come up with a conclusion and some BS, and this is going to turn into something that's used against Cuba. I seen in a video somewhere, I read somewhere where Cuban was reporting that these were Cuban citizens that were actually there to cause trouble or something like that. But I guess they'll be reporting it. I'm probably going to do another reaction video based on this when they come up with more information. Guys, thank you very much for watching. And you already know, man, subscribe to my channel. Hit the notification bell. Hit the like button. Any donations to my channel will be greatly appreciated. My PayPal account is on the screen. Peace, love, and God bless.